Alright, the first thing we want to do is make an incision on the bird, and to start the incision you have to find the keel. So if you reach out, you lay the bird on its back so the breast and belly are up, reach out and touch the bird until you find the ridge, the bone, hard bone ridge, that's the keel. Once you find that, if you just follow it towards the head until it disappears, and when that disappears, then that's where you're going to start your incision. So it starts to go down right up here. That's the beginning of the keel. So I'm going to start there. And then I'm going to go all the way to the vent. Now the vent, the opening that the bird goes to the bathroom through, reproduction through, eggs through, that's sometimes hard to find. But even on this duck, I can see a spot right here that in the feathers that looks like a little divot. And that's where the vent is going to be. So I'm going to make an incision from where my finger is all the way to where the scalpel is. Most birds, or many birds, have a bald spot running right over the top of the keel. So I'm going to try to find that as we start by separating the feathers. And ducks have lots of downy feathers, making it a little more difficult to find that bald spot. But right now I found it. And the keel itself is a bone, and you can actually, before you ever make a cut, you can see the bone, the keel, underneath through the skin. The skin's kind of see-through. And I found that. I know that I'm at the top of the keel. So I'm going to start with my scalpel and just cut gently through the skin, but not deep into the meat. And then I'm going to follow that right along the keel and use my fingers in a peace sign or V just to hold the feathers back on each side as I make my incision. And so I kind of flip the feathers to both sides and then make my incision right next to the keel as I go down to try to help keep it straight. As you go, especially on ducks, you may lose some feathers. Don't worry about it. You're trying not to, the reason you hold the feathers back and find that bald spot is to try to minimize the number of feathers you cut out. But if you lose feathers, don't worry about it at all. Just keep going gently, and there's enough feathers that you'll definitely cover up. So you can see kind of we have an opening in the feathers, but we also have an opening in the hide, and we can see the dark red meat. And I have made a small incision or cut into that meat. Not at the beginning, I only went through the hide, but then I went through the meat a little bit, the muscle, a little bit further down. Now I'm about 2 inches away from the vent, and I'm to the point where the muscle stops, and the muscle that continues is very thin over the abdomen. And the skin's thin, so I'm going to be extra careful here, especially on ducks, to try not to cut through the abdominal muscles, because I really don't want to expose the intestines or any of the internal organs. We don't want those. It makes it harder if we have to mess with all of that sticking out of the bird when we're trying to take the hide off. So I'm very gentle just to go through the skin itself. There's a little layer of fat underneath the skin, and you'll see that. It's kind of whitish below the skin. I'm only about 1 inch from the vent, and remember, we're going to cut to the vent. It's a round circle, but we're not going to cut through the back side, just through the front side of it. So we're getting there, close to the vent. Still can't really see it. Okay, right now, and it changes color. Kind of, the fat is kind of yellow that we've been going for fat in the skin, and it changes more to a little bit darker color. And now we have cut through the front end of the vent. The vent's an opening or a hole, and we've cut through the front side of that hole, but not through the back side. So now what we have is we have a nice straight incision, and if we pull the hide back just a little bit, it's going to be shaped a little bit oval, kind of like a skinny football pointed at each end. And it's going to be important that through the whole process we don't tear the ends, so that we're very careful around the ends to make sure that they don't tear, they stay intact, and this opening just stays straight and neat on both sides.